Hello and good evening. I love you. Welcome to the Chieftess chat. Thank you all for joining me. And for those that are joining me live, I am doing my best. I might find that I have to bump the start time back to 9:30 in the evening because depending on, sometimes I have additional motherly duties that I don't necessarily know I'm going to have till that night, and it's the type of thing that can't wait, if you know what I mean. So I have to do that. So I might find that I have to give myself more of a cushion because I do not mean to keep you all waiting, and I do apologize. So welcome to the chat tonight. Thank you for joining me. Let's pause for a second and get in touch with self, surroundings, and connect here. So I like to put my left hand on my heart just because then I can feel it. You can feel your voice too. Did you ever do that? Right hand on your left. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. In through your nose. And out through your mouth. Doesn't it feel good? Say, I love you to you. And I love you. Let's take a second and say hello and thank you to the beautiful source of all creation, God, the universe, whatever term, whatever phrase you want to use, whatever your HP, higher spirit, higher power, blah, 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 blah. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to connect here today and to grow and learn, because the sum of all of our parts is greater than any one. And I intend to learn and to grow. And we receive all healing and all wisdom and all understanding, connection, communication, love, passion, pleasure, wiggles, giggles, all the good stuff for our highest good during our time together. Gratefully so. And so it is. You never know what you're going to get, right? It just depends on what I'm feeling at that minute. So, all right, tonight we're going to talk about sleep. As I wrote, I really tune in, to my community, to those I work with, to see if there's any kind of common theme with those I'm coming in contact with during the week. And I look at that as my synchronicity and an opportunity to have a subject or a topic that maybe quite a few of us are experiencing. And so I picked something that we can get down with together. So tonight we're talking about sleep, because what I hear is a lot of people don't sleep well. A lot of people don't feel rested. There's a lot of people that are having a hard time sleeping in general, with rat race in the head. That's my fridge making a weird noise, if you can hear it. What was the, my mind won't stop is what my friend said, one of my student teachers. So it's a lot. It was a lot of people that I worked with, and then, it was presenting itself so much that I started asking some people, like, how do you sleep? What do you sleep like? What's your sleep like? Blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people said they had a hard time falling asleep. And most people, I didn't do the stats and break it all down, but most people said they didn't feel rested when they woke up. I had one person that said they woke up before their alarm went off, but nobody else was like beaming, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to be awake. So, I'm thinking that that's probably not the way we want to be, right? So here's the deal. Here is the deal. I'm going to give you 4 easy. I made it really easy. I'm giving you 4 things that all start with F, okay? 4 Fs. You can just F it, F it, F it, and F it. it's gonna F up your sleep in all the right ways. That's horrible. I did not think about that ahead of time. Anyway, so I'm gonna give you 4 ways that you can introduce ASAP, effective immediately, and they will help your sleep. And you're gonna be like, what? So, okay, one of the first things I want to say to begin with that's super, super important is, in every facet of growth and change in the human, these things happen during the recovery phase, okay? Even on a cellular level, when the body is at rest is when the changes happen. I'll take it for a really easy analogy. People go to the gym. They're in the gym, pumping weights, right? Okay, so when we're in there and we're hitting the weights and we're working out hard, that is actually not when our body is changing or growing, or our muscles are getting bigger, or our butt is getting smaller, or vice versa, or whatever it is you're going for, right? That is actually when we are ripping the body down. We're tearing apart, in all actuality, we're ripping apart muscle fibers so that when they recover, they will rebuild stronger, bigger, more full, i.e. a bigger muscle, okay? So it's when we rest, when we give it the muscles enough, the body enough food, enough sleep, enough nutrients, making sure we get all the amino acids. That's a whole nother topic, but the list goes on and on. But that's when our body that's when we notice the physical changes, after we have given the body ample recovery, okay? Well, that's a small facet, a small example of what happens to the body on a much larger scale. You got this amazing energetic system, this beautiful, ever calibrating, ever working, always showing up, always breathing, always thinking, always computing, always feeling, always responding, always in a constant exchange, and making chemical equations and chemical exchanges. This body's amazing, right? Every second of the day, okay? So if we are not giving it ample recovery with all these systems, then none of our systems inside our body are going to be functioning at optimum speed. So really, it could be said that if you're not sleeping well, then whatever you're doing during the day, even if it's the best of the best of the best, is still only going to be so good, because you're not giving it let me rephrase that, because the body's not getting enough ample downtime and recovery to implement those changes, to integrate them on a cellular level is what it is, to allow the change to occur. So when we're not sleeping well, whether it's because we're unable to fall asleep quickly enough or in a comfortable way, if we feel like our head is racing, or if we're physically uncomfortable for some reason, and so we feel agitated and we can't sleep, whatever it is, if we're not waking up rested in the morning and we're feeling like the quality or the quantity of our sleep is not ample, then the whole body is suffering as a unit, and so our energy is going to suffer. We're going to break down faster. We're going to be more prone for injury. The immune system is not going to rapid fire response like we want it to. We're just not as sharp on our toes, right? So we want to do the things we can to help this system, and then that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. That's why it's so important. I mean, obviously, when you sleep, you feel better, but there's a whole bunch of things that are happening during this process. And then also, I wanted to introduce the body as a frequency. I have an analogy for you, because we're all so tech savvy. We all have devices. We all think about charging our phones before we go to sleep. When we go on a trip, we think about our charger. We've got the device protector. We've got protection plans. We've got all this stuff for all of our devices. We know how to calibrate, recalibrate, re-energize, ground. What else? Charge our device. Okay? But how many of you could say that you could do all of those things with your body, your system, your device? Your device. We're like, And yet, you are a device of sorts. You are a bioconductive, bioelectric body. And you're like, what? This is when she gets all, yeah, she's got a turban on and dreadlocks. You got an electric system right here and an electric system right here, signaling each other. This in training the brain. Yes, this is in charge. I'll say it again. Soak it up. Yes, this is in charge. The heart in training the brain, sending signals in a beautiful circuit, conducting in a body of 60 to 72% water. Okay? So we're in this beautiful bioconductive electrical equipment, and yet if you ask most of us, how do you ground your body on a daily basis? How do you ground your energy so that you feel calm, balanced, and collected? We're like, what? Huh? We're not doing any of this. We're not even taking basic care of the circuit. So no, we're not going to sleep well. We're fried out. We're completely fried out. So I have 4 very simple things for you that you can, like I said, you can do right away and start to tend to the system, tend to the body. Well, I'll just pick one analogy and stick with it, so that you can learn to calibrate, charge, and ground your device so that you are functioning. You know, you're not. Like, think about this. Let's take it a little bit further. If we didn't charge our phone, we know that it would run out of a battery. Okay, that's simple. If it wasn't grounded, for those that aren't familiar, it would blow up. What else? If it wasn't recalibrating, we could say we weren't. What's the word? Then like the iOS, the systems aren't updating. Okay, then it's slow. And it gets junked up, right? And it's not cleaning itself. This is all like none of this would be new to any of us when I explain it that way about your device. But that's exactly what's going on with our bodies, okay? So, first one is fat. Fat before bed. This is for good sleep. Number 1 is fat. When you go to sleep, your consciousness is going to sleep. The rest of your systems are still working. And they are fueled primarily by fat. So when you go to sleep and your consciousness is in a state of rest, your beautiful physical body, your beautiful energetic body too, are very much still not only alive and well, but computing, you know, working, doing the do. So we want to feed that body and those organs, specifically the brain, so that they are calmed and balanced and fueled, as opposed to feeling like, oh, I'm not getting enough, I can't concentrate, because that is what's happening with a lot of us when we go to bed, especially some of my old school homies that think you shouldn't eat after 6 at night. And I know y'all do that, because when you come to me, that's one of the things you say to me. You're like, well, and I don't do this, and I try not to eat after 7 p.m. Like, I'm going to high five you on that, right? But that's not what we want in this case. That's not a good nutritional practice. You want to have a good, healthy dose of a healthy fat right before you go to sleep. Right before you go to sleep. I'm talking like right before you go in and brush your teeth and go to bed, okay? Like a big fat scoop of natural peanut butter or natural almond butter. If you can't do nut butters, you could do a half an avocado, you know? Put some salsa on avocado and eat that. You could do, I mean, like I used to do, listen to me, I was about to say, I don't even know, just some crazy grammar. I used to do kefir, and I had lemon flavored olive oil that I used to mix together right before I went to sleep. And so that way I got protein, casein protein with the fat at the same time right before I went to sleep. But I don't do the, I could do vegan kefir, but I don't. I just have not thought about that. So anyway, just giving you some options. It doesn't have to be something complicated. Excuse me. But up to about, I'd say, 12 to 16 grams of fat, depending on your size. If you're my size or bigger, I am 155 pounds, I think, right now, then have about 16 grams of fat before you go to sleep. If you're my size or smaller, make it about 12 grams. And if you don't know how to do that, get yourself a fitness app and figure that one out. Or read the back of a label and you can gauge that. But get yourself a dose of fat before you go to sleep. And your brain will be continuously fueled, as will the rest of your organs and your body. And so your system will be better able to recover and rest, and your brain will actually be able to calm down, and you should probably feel less anxiety and less anxious when you're fueled in the ample way that you need. All right? So that's number one. Number two, this is going to make so many unhappy, I know. Fragrances, scents, whoosh, whoosh, fragrances. You need to get rid of them all completely. However, you really want to get rid of them the few hours before you go to sleep. And I say that especially because if you were like me, that is the second time that earring has fallen out. I think we're just going to leave it out. But it's so much fun. You can't have one and not the other. It's not the same, is it? No, we could try again. What was I saying? If you're like me, I am big on smells. Really like aromatherapy. I really like candles. I really like the fire. I like the whole ambiance. I like the whole vibe it gives to me, right? So I used to burn a bunch of candles before bed, and they were all these lovely scents that I felt were so calming. And I never had any idea about how many fragrances were in the candles that are also in many of the things that we burn for fragrance, as well as the fragrances we put on our bodies. Now, I was thinking about this before I came on here today, that I should have brushed up on my facts. I think it was in 2016. You guys, I wrote an article in my blog. You're welcome to go check. So don't quote me on this, but I think it was in 2016. The FDA still said that 95% of the chemicals used in fragrances are carcinogenic. So what's happening is we're putting these things on, our skin, or we're smelling them to get ready for bed, to chill out, and they cause major hormonal disruptions within our body. Major hormonal disruptions. Not to mention subsequent systems. Like, for myself now, for someone like me now who has removed all fragrances from like life in general, I mean, you can't do it completely, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't put the same stuff on my skin as I used to. I don't burn the same stuff in the house as I used to. The minute I smell some of that, it'll stuff up my nose. And my head will just feel kind of heavy. And I notice it very quickly. So yeah, do some research on fragrances, but cut the fragrances out altogether, especially, I mean, like, we'll do another talk on that, specifically on favoring your frequency and how you can reduce the pollutants coming into your life. That's one of the workshops I'll be hosting. But, you got deodorant, you got stuff that's going on your skin. I mean, you got the major stuff, right? And the fragrances. In fact, this is a wonderful time for me to do a plug for my product. When we're spraying air freshener, when we're spraying, like, I'm not going to use any brand names, when we're spraying products to freshen the smell of our clothes or to kill germs in our clothes that are loaded with chemicals that not only get soaked in our clothes, but that our whole family is breathing, and they are sabotaging our hormones, which are totally sabotaging our organs, which sabotages all your systems and all of your overall health. You're not going to feel good. You're not going to be well. Like, all your systems are going to be screaming. So I call this mainstay. We're going to plug this another time, but I'm just going to introduce this. Antimicrobial, antifungal, antibacterial, 100% natural, 100% organic, charged with bioscalar energy. Can you just say amen? There you have it. So cut out the fragrances, but especially cut them out right before you go to sleep. Give your hormonal body a chance to balance and chill out right before you go to bed, right? Number 3. Okay, I already introduced the concept of being, I called it a device. So let's call your device a frequency, right? which you are. Are you ready? If you broke every piece of matter down to the subatomic level, you're a vibrational frequency. Yes, it's the truth. I know. And I've always had that going on in there. Oh, goodness. In all actuality, you are a frequency, right? Everything is. Every living thing is. But let's go back to the device analogy, okay? So when we understand that when we try to use our device in some areas, there is disruption with the signal, disruption with the ability to receive a call, to make a call, to get data, right? We get that. We're like, oh, I'm in a bad spot. I can't receive the signal. My signal's blocked, whatever, right? We seem to get that with the device. Okay, well, the same thing goes for us when we're getting ready to go to sleep and our device needs to hook up to God, to the universe, and recalibrate, right? And we need to let all of our systems recover, and all of our systems need to hook up uninterrupted, okay? Now, when we have a cell phone right by us, or a Wi-Fi modem, or is it router? I get them confused. I think you guys know what I mean. The thing that makes your Wi-Fi run in your house. When we have these other devices and systems kicking these signals right around our body when we're trying to sleep, they disrupt our natural rhythms, our natural frequency, okay? We have natural rhythms as a species. We've completely gotten away from it as we've disconnected from the earth. But keeping it real simple tonight, when we go to sleep, like I said, your consciousness goes to sleep. The rest of you is still energetically going and sending and receiving signals, ever processing, ever calibrating, needs to hook up to receive and clean, if you will, right? And so when we have other signals interrupting, that circuit gets interrupted, or if not blocked. And so we don't balance as well. We just don't calm down as well. So it's a good idea to take your cell phone, put your cell phone on airplane mode, and take the phone 6 feet from your head, or from your body, from your being, okay? If you can't put it on airplane mode, just keep it 6 feet away, but keep that system, because even when it's on airplane mode, it's still, again, a frequency, and it's still kicking. You know, for some of you, if you're like, this sounds so crazy, would you stick your fork in your toaster and expect it to work? Would you put another microchip in your cell phone and expect the same function and operation? Would you turn your radio, I'll just stop there. Do you know what I mean? Like, none of that sounds too far-fetched or crazy for any of us. But we are new to try on the concept of the fact that, you know, we are equipment that operates like this. And things disrupt our signals. Just like, you know, it would disrupt your toaster if you stuck your fork in it, right? So keep the cell phone away. You can turn off your Wi-Fi at night. I rarely remember to do that when I was just thinking. That's why I was saying it like that. Like, oh, geez, you know, I believe it. If you're not doing it, you shouldn't be talking it. If you ain't practicing, don't preach it, right? So I do the phone quite a ways away. And then along with that is any ambient light. You really want to give, you know, you're going to sleep and you might be used to it and you might think it doesn't bother you, but your subconscious is what, always awake, and what, always listening. And we should say what, always imprinting and recording. And we could even go further, writing from there. So you're like I said, this beautiful vessel is always awake in a way. So we want to protect it better and give it what it needs, right? So you want to cut off any light in the room as much as you can. If you really want to do yourself a solid, Leave your blinds or windows open if you are able, so that your subconscious can sense the moon cycle. And you will literally see some things in your body change. It's very cool. So that's number 3. Number 4 is really easy. Foof. Foof your space before you go to sleep. Okay, so when you get ready to go to sleep, you know, you get your bed ready, right? You go in and, you know, who knows? I don't know. Everyone's different. I've usually got something laying on my bed, an article of clothing that I have to pull off, and then, you know, I pull my sheets back and I have whatever clothing on that I take off or whatever. But there's a procedure I go through before I get in my bed. And when I have guests, I invite them into their room, and then I go and I turn back their sheets. And so I kind of, you know, I spray some of my spray, actually my mainstay on their sheets, because with the lavender in it, it's very calming, it's very peaceful. So I foof their space and I get their room ready before they go to sleep, right? So we want to do the same thing for our being, for our consciousness, let's say. We want to give ourselves that same beautiful, hey, let me pay attention to you and tuck you in, okay? Let me give you a safe space to go to, so that you can breathe and calm down and feel good, and you can go to sleep. Because it's super, super important to help ourselves consciously slow down and calm down, so that we can go to sleep, get to a place we want to be, and then, believe it or not, this beautiful engine's gonna wake up right where you went to bed. So it is conducive, and it behooves us to wake up in a good space. So we got to go to sleep in a good space. We got to create that space before we go to sleep, so that we wake up where we want to be, ready to have an amazing day filled with opportunity and possibility, right? So we can create that. Because I know for me, I used to wake up paralyzed with fear. I used to wake up and I was like, it was so hard to breathe from the moment I awoke. And knowing that, I think on a subconscious level, kind of like makes you not want to fall asleep, you know, because you're just like, it's like a vicious cycle, you know. There's no break there waking up from like the minute you wake up, you're just like seized with all this doom, and oh God, it was just horrible. So knowing that I can take steps and do something about that, so I'm not going to be in that space, is wonderfully comforting. My gosh, I'm not just going to be stuck there. I'm not just going to be sitting there, right? That's beautiful, okay? So everyone has their own way of creating their space. Maybe, you know, like I said, I'm very into smells. Smells are very calming for me. So I take my mainstay spray and I spray my sheets. And then, you know, I have a few phrases that are very calming to me that I say to myself. And then I have a place, you know, like my own little imaginary space that I go to in my head and in my heart space, and breathe, and then I fall asleep. And then I don't like wake up in the same like space in my, you know, like little my little imaginary place or anything, but I wake up with a calm, you know. So you want to foof your conscious space so that you wake up. I was going to say with the grace because it rhymes. Foof your conscious space and wake up with the grace. So you wake up where you want to be. Okay? So you got fat before you go to sleep. Sans the fragrances. Preferably at all, but especially I would say 6 hours before sleeping. And then remember that you are a beautiful frequency, and that other frequencies run interference with your frequency systems. And then foof your conscious space so that you'll wake up in a good place. There you go. Oh my God, that's catchy. It's so catchy. So I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to say hello to all of you beautiful people, and then I'm going to see what you are saying here. Sleeping 3 hours during the day and 3 hours at night. Is that on purpose, Mike? Hi, Mike. Hi, Deborah. You don't sleep well. Okay, tell me what. Does this mean you don't fall asleep? Okay, I have a question. How many of you eat right before you go to sleep? Anybody? Anybody? Hi, Michelle. How are you? Hi, Lester. I love you. You must sleep at the moment. What up? What up? What up? What up? Who eats before they go to bed? Hi, Kelly. I'm so happy to see you. You do eat? You eat right before you go to bed? I'm so happy to see you, Kelly. This is so beautiful. This is why I wanted to do this. I really want to have a place where we come chat. We come hook up and we talk and we get together and we learn, you know? It's not done on purpose. I just get tired and end up falling asleep during the day. Okay, so Mike, it sounds like your quality of sleep during the day is not that good, right? I mean, is this correct? I don't mean to like make it as a judgment. You eat cashews. Kelly, perfect, perfect. So you have the fat right before you go to sleep. If I remember correctly, you had some good training, right? With that, you had a good trainer that I think that introduced some of those concepts, huh? And you've done wonderfully. I peep in on you from time to time. You've done really good on keeping your stuff up. Although when I hear your name, Kelly, and cashews, it makes me think of that delicious nut butter stuff you make, which is probably not what you want to eat before you go to bed, but it's delicious. Oh my gosh. I wonder what the lag time is on here. Oh, you know, the other thing I did not mention on here because I'll be preaching this all the time. White trash, that's what it was. Yes, 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 yes. God, I love that stuff. For those of you that are like, what's she talking about? Miss Kelly makes this amazing, fabulous dessert. Well, no, it's not a dessert, right? It's like a snack mix, I think, right? And it's called white trash. And it is, you know, we're not putting it on the top 10 on the nutrition list, but it is on the top 10 for delicious list. So, you know, in line with that whole thing we were just talking about where, you know, I'm talking about your device, right? You know, we all understand that the device carries only so much charge and then we have to hook it up to a cord or it's going to run out. Okay, again, the human body has to recalibrate touching the earth. So if you're not touching the ground, if you're not familiar with grounding yet and earthing, I'll remember, I keep saying I'm going to link these things in here. I know you guys are like, she's a liar. I'm always like, I'll link the articles underneath after we do the chat. And then I forget until right now that I didn't do it last week. I will link grounding and earthing because that's another thing. I know that some of you are like, protein pancakes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I know some of you are like, what does touching the ground have to do with sleeping well? But let me put it like this, okay? If your phone is fully charged, then does your phone have optimum function when you're trying to use it versus when it's on low battery and it's about the system shutdown? It's not the same, right? It's not the same energetic flow. It's the same thing when you're trying to go to sleep. If your body has what it needs, then it can balance and calm down and quiet and go into sleep mode much more effectively than if it is deficient from, I mean, I was trying not to be too scientific here. We receive protons from the earth when we touch the earth, okay? And we receive energy that comes into our body and systemically, which means from the inside out, calms our body down. Calms our body completely down. It calms down systemic inflammation, okay? Which means swelling from the inside out. Not like if I bump my knee and then my knee swells. That's inflammation from the outside. Systemic inflammation is like irritable bowel syndrome, heart disease, any kind of organ irritation, right? That is systemic inflammation, okay? So when we touch the ground, whether with our feet or whether we're just sitting on the ground, you know, chilling out or whatever, but we're having contact with the earth, then we are receiving this charge from the earth. You can also research the Schumann resonance if you're not familiar. I'll link all this at the bottom. But we're basically soaking up the stuff that our beautiful bioconductive body needs to balance. And this translates later in the day to when we go to sleep. And, you know, it's like I said, it's just like if your phone is charged, it's going to work better. Well, when we have what we need to balance on a physiological level, an energetic level, well, then emotionally we feel better, you know. One system is linked to the other. If your physiology, if your body is not balanced, it's going to be tough to get your emotions calm, because your hormones are going to be out of whack. You know, if you're expecting to have no anxiety, calm and balance and sleep good over here, but you don't think it has anything to do with your physical energetic health, then there's no bridge, right? You know, because this does influence how the organs are functioning, how our energetic health functions, affects our hormone production, circulation, interaction, right? Which affects our emotional health, anxiety, depression, or lack of enthusiasm, feelings of capability. So when we take the steps to calm down the physiology, before we go to sleep, helping our hormones out, remembering that all these systems are functioning and we can help them out, creating this, helping this and this kicker of all the systems, consciously helping that dictate the space by foofing our space, then everything functions better. Everything runs better, you know? But we got to take the simple measures to begin with to help it all roll. Grounding, is that why I sleep better in the summer? Because I've always been barefoot gardening. That would be really, really, really interesting to see. Hello, beautiful Becky. I love you, and how are you? I want to see if I can I scroll back on this one on here? Oh, I can. I'm all like, okay, so one thing at a time here. Kelly, I would totally think that in combination also with, of course, natural sunlight and just fresh air. But yeah, you know, another example of when we see this all the time and we don't think about it is how many times when our kids were little, if our kids were colicky or our kids were screaming, did we take them outside and then they feel better, right? That has a lot to do with it too. Kids are really calmed down when we take them outside and touch ground. A lot of times I'm messing around on Instagram and I can't believe I didn't think to mention that. Mr. Mike Reynolds. IG, right before bedtime. Okay, that, my friend, I should have said, think about your frequency, and I should have told you to eliminate the frequency interruption a few hours before bed. Yes, you know, that's really tough for a lot of people. To be honest, the last thing we want to do before we go to sleep and first thing when we wake up is to get on a device. And it is because of what I just explained. We are an energetic circuit. We are a spiritual being. And you could look at it this way. You could look at this as pretend I am this, pretend I have all these plugs coming out of me, you know? I have plugs how I feel my safety. I have plugs how I feel my passion. I have plugs how I feel my power. I have plugs how I feel loved. I have plugs that how make me feel confident and like I can communicate and connect. And I have plugs that make me feel like I'm one of the tribe. And I have all these different plugs that go out, right? And they're going to hook up to something and they're going to power from what they hook up to. They're going to feed. They're going to pull. Okay? They're there. Like the minute that I wake up, they're like octopus legs, right? They're there. And it happens from the second I wake up. And, or right before let's go with the second you wake up. So if I want to be powered by source. If I want to be, I'll speak for me, streaming from the good stuff, then I need to make sure that all of my plugs hook up from the very beginning, should they not be led astray and hook up to some other crap that I don't want to be fed by throughout the day. Because it's much harder to realize that you're hooked up in a bad circuit and then be like, oh shit, and go pull the plug, than it is to just get hooked up the right way the first time. It's much harder to recognize. Usually we don't recognize that we're hooking up to some bad circuits until it's like, oh crap, I think I shouldn't have said that. Or, I wish I hadn't watched that. Or, man, that just completely changed my mood. Every time I talk to her, it gets me in a bad mood. Then you realize that you let yourself get plugged into a bad thing, okay? So, those are examples with interactions with people, but social media, the devices in general, they're not energetically, I'm very selective, I'm looking for the right words on this one. You could be looking at really motivating, positive things on Instagram, right? Let's say you are. But energetically, you could be cultivating that same feeling of inspiration and love and possibility in a much more beneficial way without the device. Whether it is, depending on what you're looking for on there, depending on what you're going for your fill, depending on what it is that you're on Instagram wanting to feel before you go to sleep. Because it is wanting to feel something, I would imagine. Most of us we might think it's wanting to know some information, but right before you go to sleep, you're probably wanting to feel something. So, if you can decide what it is you're wanting to feel, and then ask yourself how else you could get that. Maybe you could read, maybe you could do something creative, whether it's with your hands or just in your imaginative personal space. You can cultivate that same, whether it's comfort or safety or passion or connection or whatever it is that you're wanting, in a more beneficial way than social media and a device. And I do say that it does apply even if you're watching the most beneficial things, and the reason is because the device itself vibrationally is a disruption to the human frequency. So that's why I say that in that way. Let me see what else is here. Da, da, da. Yeah, I mean, the thing is too, let's take that a step further, Mike. What's behind your eyes? What's happening when your eyes are watching something? Your eyes are like little cameras. I wrote about it last week. Constantly taking pictures, constantly imprinting the subconscious, right? Making pictures, making a understanding, a formula back there of what is. So, unless you're absolutely certain that, and even so, because of what I just explained, but, unless you're absolutely certain that everything you're seeing is absolutely what you want in there, what you want stored up, and what you think is for your highest good, then, I don't know, it's kind of a crapshoot, isn't it? So, ideally, we just want to bring balance to our mind, body, and spirit, and we can do that with, creating the space. With these little handy dandy tools. We balance the body. You throw some deep breaths in there while you're foofing your space, and you have a night and day difference that quickly. It sounds silly, but I guarantee you, in fact, I would love to hear from you all. I would love, please try these 4 things. Try these 4 things and let me know how your quality of sleep is different that night. I would absolutely love to hear from you. I'm going to check in here and see what all you guys are saying, and then I'm going to cap it, because I have no idea how long this is. I really should put a clock up. But I just want to say, thank you. Thank you for joining me. And you can find out more about Mainstay on my website, www.thechieftess.com, where you can also find out about my services soon. We're updating my website, so, but the store is current. You can go on there, and like I said, this is 100% natural and 100% organic, and it is charged with bioscalar energy. So with each application, this product, and when I say application, like, I use this as an air freshener. Like, I'll spray the air, because I don't want anybody, you know, I don't mind if anybody's breathing it. However, this does have tea tree oil in it, which is contraindicated for dogs. But I use this to freshen sheets. I use this for funky shoes. I use this to clean my yoga mat. I didn't even tell you guys how this started, because I will do this another time. I made this product to clean my scalp because I wanted a dry shampoo. Even before I had dreadlocks, I had cornrows. I used to cornrow my hair. I used to braid my hair. And I wanted a cleaner that I wanted to put on my scalp that didn't have sulfates and sulfites and nitrates and polymers and all this other crap in it, you know, going straight through my skull into my body. And I couldn't find anything. So I created the earrings done. I created this formula, and then I started using it on my mane. And then I remember we went on a Boy Scout camping trip, and we used it to clean bug bites, and we used it to soothe bug bites, clean scrapes, and I use it when, like, you know, when we're out and about, like if we're camping and I need to freshen up, or you're like in the woods shower. So then I started calling it Mainstay, because it literally became the Mainstay product that I use for everything antibacterial, cleaning, freshen up in our home and on my body, because there's nothing artificial in it. And I don't you know, like, now that I understand about more of these products, I don't want them sprayed in my home. It's not even just directly on your skin. I don't want my kid and my dog, you know, smelling that stuff when it lingers in the air. It's horrendous. So, you know, this is wonderful, because I can spray it all over me. And if anyone's around me, you know, I know that they're actually getting some really good stuff, because the second this is introduced into your system with the bioscalar energy, all systems and organs are restored to their ideal balance, and your body is immune from cell phone and ELF wave damage and interference for 2.5 days per application. That's phenomenal. It's really, 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 really cool. So it's kind of neat to know, like, if anybody else doesn't heal it, like, you kind of gave them a solid. So anyway, if you want more information, you can go to my website on that. I will link the links on here about grounding, and didn't I say there was going to be another one I was going to do? Oh, the Schumann resonance. And if you guys have any questions, you know, post them in here. I'll go back through afterwards and answer anything that I did not see. But thank you so much for joining me, and please try these things and leave me a message and let me know how they help you, because I love hearing how you're like, well, I didn't believe it, but there it is. So I would love to hear from you. I thank you all so much for joining me. I love you. Awesome. Mwah. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really, really do love you, and I'm grateful to be here with you. I'll see you next week.